D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
Roll for initiative.
Greetings, RFI Nation, and welcome to issue number 22 of the Roll for Initiative podcast. We are coming to you live 3 weeks out. Well, we're not really live, we're recorded, but 3 weeks out from Gen Con. I am DM Vincent along with DM Nick and DM Jason, and we'll head over to Nick. Nick, how has your hot week been over there in Ohio?
Probably about as bad as yours in PA. Super hot, but, you know, it's gotten better. Looking forward to tonight's show.
Definitely. And Jason, how's your smoldering week been?
I'd rather not be called DM Jason anymore. I'd like to be known as DM Megatron Galvatron from now on, thank you.
Oh my god.
Alrighty then.
We'll get to that in a few minutes.
No, it's been pretty good. We were rolling up some characters for a new campaign we're going to get going.
Sweet.
It's been a little bit difficult getting the in-person players, so I have been getting some emails from people talking about doing some Skype gaming.
Yes.
Because there's a bunch of different forums out there that you can go looking for players, and we've had people asking us about that, so I've been joining up in the forums, and I decided it's probably time to just get some Skype gaming in, especially with Gen Con coming up.
Yes.
So,
go
ahead.
Funny you mentioned that. I didn't know if I said this before, but I actually did a game over Skype with my local group, it was a month ago.
Really?
It was just a couple of weeks before we went to Origins.
Who was DMing?
My friend Jeff. He was GMing, and I had my camera set up with the mic, and he had his set up. And you know what? For the most part, it worked out pretty well.
Was everybody on cameras?
Just him, but he kind of panned around a little bit so I could see everybody, So, but I had mine. Everybody could see me and hear me fine.
Don't you get a little self-conscious with the camera, like in case you're picking your nose? I mean, they could see you or something. Or?
Oh, it's my gaming group. They don't care.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I figure I'm gonna, from the people that wrote in about that, and if anybody who's listening to the show wants to join in on it, I mean, we could probably put one or two more people in, so I don't have any method for figuring that out. It's just...
As the emails flood in as we speak.
That'd be cool. Then, you know what? If too many people write in, then we'll connect people with each other.
Hello, future people.
Yeah, but because I'm going to be DMing a Expeditious Retreat adventure at Gen Con this year, I figured I would run at least once or so through it on a Skype adventure. So that's probably what we're going to be doing. And maybe if it sounds good, maybe we'll save them as little bonus podcasts to throw out or something.
Cool.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, I'll be at Gen Con. I don't think I'm not in any first edition games, but I will be ready and willing to do any pickup games. So.
Well, I will definitely set one up so you and I can play, and we can grab some players around at Gen Con.
Sweet. I'll have to bring my books and have fun. Yay.
I'm actually missing a couple of books that I'm going to have to... I've been really trying to keep from buying them on eBay because I want to buy them at Gen Con.
Oh, okay. I've been playing in a Skype game over Skype. A Skype game over Skype, 1E, so I'm happy. It's a little peach, so it's fun.
The wonders of modern technology.
Yes, definitely. All right, well, let's get into the show. Actually, we want to take a moment to take a moment of silence to pay respects to a UK legend passing away. Alan H. wrote into us and expressed the sad news that Donald Brocci, or is it Brocci? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, and I apologize to his family. A driving force behind the UK gaming in the golden days of D&D. Excuse me. He was one of the crew of the UK's paramount fanzines, the Underworld Oracle, and a giant in the early golden days of gaming workshops has passed on. Donald was a man of great wit, kindness, and personality. He was 50 years old, leaving behind 2 younger children. So as we go into our next segment, let's take a couple seconds to reflect upon this and his memory. Okay, guys, let's head right into table matters now, and
Typical. Of all the evil creatures in the world, I'd like to find one with table manners.
And what are you kidding me? I spent years cultivating the worst table manners on the planet.
Table manners.
Table manners. This topic we picked this week is kind of following up on the level limits that we talked about last week.
Yeah.
This week's going to make humans more enticing to play to players, because a lot of people don't play humans because they think they're boring.
Right.
So, why should you play a human, Jason?
Well, I mean, the first thing for me is just from a role-playing perspective, it takes a lot less to try to imagine what it's like to be a human than it does to try to imagine what it's like to be a half-orc or an elf.
True.
And
now, that's debatable with some gamers.
it's true.
Well, yeah, but let's not get into that.
But I think, for me, the main thing is right there in the game mechanics. I mean, it's set up so that humans get the best all-round sort of approach. And I tend to only play other races when I want to, really try something different. But I always find myself going back to playing the human. I think it's just more... it's more, I don't know, not believable to me, but whatever the word is for it, it's easier for me to role play that, to put myself in that mind. And playing an elf or playing a half orc or something, to me it's more like if I'm trying to play a princess, okay, I can imagine what it's like to be female and aristocratic, but there's only so long that I would want to actually do that to have a good time with it.
Sure. No, I'm kidding. Well,
I'm a pretty, pretty princess.
Yes. And
I'm a little bit of a princess, okay.
another
Moving
show.
right along.
Yeah, another show, another topic. I have to say, I usually play humans more often. I would say 95% of the time I'll play a human. My only other thing I play was maybe a dwarf, but I like playing humans because they're a superior race and they're the ultimate, and they have the most options, I feel. You know what? So what? They don't get the +2 bonus here, +2 bonus there. I think humans have the most versatility, they're most accepted in every game, and the easiest to play. I mean, that's how I feel about humans. So Nick, what do you think?
Well, I pretty much agree with both of you in that respect. I mean, it's not a great leap to role play a human. Luckily, I was born Homo sapiens. That helps. Also, by the book, I think we already said this, they have no level limits for humans. That's if you go by the book, that's the enticement, the carrot that Gygax threw out there. Everybody is like, if you want to play humans, you got no level limits and all the classes are open to you. So in that respect, that's why you probably would want to play human. Other than that, I don't know. I mean, like other races, I'll play them like Jason says, more just to try something different.
Yeah.
To kind of, if I feel like I want to be a little bit more theatrical, a little bit more on the edge, I'll play a dwarf or even a gnome, or half elf isn't really that much of a stretch. I guess then you would have to depend on what class that you play, but yeah, that's. I mean, it was designed as AD&D, first edition AD&D was designed to be a human-centric game, where the advantages for the no level limits and the amount of different classes that you could play definitely fell into the human side of things. So
when it comes to imagination about the whole thing, to me, it's a lot more exciting to imagine a human that has been able to do amazing feats of strength or spell casting or whatever. Because if you start out with one of the humanoid races, you're already going into, well, this is something very different, and I expect stuff to happen. Whereas when you see somebody that just looks like, regular old Joe Schmo walking down the street, who also happens to be an 8th level magic user, suddenly it becomes a lot more amazing when you imagine that person doing something.
Right. Yeah.
So, moving on to our next little bulletin here, what would you do if your group refuses to play humans? Like, I have seen a lot of people in the Dragonswood forum saying most of their players don't play humans, or either they all play humans. So let's go with the scenario that no one in your group likes playing humans because they're boring. What would you do as a DM to make it a little more enticing or a little bit more special in your group? What I've done in the past for me is add a couple hit points. I've even enticed players to play human like clerics because a lot of people no one likes playing the healer. So sometimes I'll grant them, some more hit points and maybe a +1 onto their primary stat. And also, if they're playing a healer, I would give them extra healing. Or maybe an item that grants them extra healing, just to give the player something to say, hey, thanks for doing this and making my life a little easier as a DM.
Right.
Nick, what would you do?
Well, this is what I'm going to do. I haven't done anything like this in the past.
Right.
To do something for humans and make them a little bit more, I don't know, say enjoyable, but more enticing to play. And I think we talked about this a little bit last time too, like we were talking about the level limit issue with demi-humans.
Right.
Is the next time I'm going to run a first edition AD&D campaign, I'm going to do it in World of Greyhawk. And one of the things I did was, and I talked about this before, is give one thing for humans, give them racial modifiers to certain stats depending on their racial stock. And in a World of Greyhawk fantasy campaign setting, you really have 4 major human subraces: the Baklunish, the Flan, Oridians, and Sul. And just kind of reading over the different racial types in the 83 box set, I came up with what I thought would be the closest for racial modifiers for each human subrace. Like for the Baklunish, so you would get a +1 to your Dex. If you're a Flan, +1 to your Con. Oridians, they were the most prevalent, and I gave them a +1 to their intelligence and wisdom. And Sul, I gave +1 to strength. And there's a little chart in the 83 box set. I think it's in the first book, the first folio book. And depending what country you're in, you're going to be a mixture of different races. And I say, okay, well, the first 2, if you only have 2, or you have the first 2 out of the 3 that you're mixed with, that's the bonuses that you get. So, like, if you're from a certain country and you're a mix of Oridian and Flan, for example, you would get a +1 bonus added to your ability scores when creating your character to your intelligence, wisdom, and con. So that's one thing I was thinking about doing. And another one was based on, like how elves get a bonus to hit modifier for bows, and I think for short bows and long bows, and for long and short sword. I kind of did the same thing with humans, and I broke it down by the different kingdoms and nations in the World of Greyhawk, the ones that you could roll it for humans. And I tried to be the closest to where in the description of each kingdom or nation, what their armies are comprised of, if it's listed. Right. I say, like, just to give an example, for the Frost, Ice, and Snow Barbarians, you would get a +1 bonus to hit with Battle Axe or Hand Axe, Warhammer, and Bastard Sword. So if your character came from one of those 3 areas, you would get a +1 bonus to hit with those weapons. Obviously, if there are class restrictions, you can't use those weapons. Right. Or if you're from the Great Kingdom, you might get a bonus with a certain type of sword, flail or mace, 1 type of polearm, and 1 type of bow or crossbow. And you have to pick. So it's something I'm kind of kicking around there. I think I'll see how it works. So it's just one of those things I'm kind of doing. And so
we got to let us know how it
works.
Yeah, let us know how it plays out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope to. I mean, I'm going to try to talk my group into doing a first edition AD&D game here probably in the next few months. And I have a real cool mega dungeon I wish to use, and we'll see how it goes. So,
okay, over to you, DM Megatron.
Yes, isn't it Megatron Galvatron, I think?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would... Well, first of all, I don't really want to advocate pushing players away from things that they find fun. If everybody just really feels like they want to play dwarves, that could be kind of cool. I could actually see a really interesting campaign where every single character in the group is a dwarf, as opposed to just one or two of them. But nonetheless...
Oh, yeah, it could be fun.
Yeah.
With the ring of invisibility. Oh, wait a minute, wait.
But yeah, I mean, if I am trying to say, look, I think you guys could have even more fun over here, the ways that I might subtly, or not so subtly, push them towards it is just by trying to create a more human-sized world, almost in a literal sense, in the sense that the NPCs that they encounter should be humans and should be predisposed towards humans. So no matter what, as this band of humanoid types goes traipsing through the countryside, scaring the farm folk, and not getting the best deals at the inns and the taverns and everything like that. That's a little side of it, but also about maybe the certainly the magic items they pick up, maybe even the spells that are available to them. It's easier for me to make the case for magic items. For example, let's say you find a enchanted sword. You've got a great +3 sword that you find during your adventure, but this sword is intelligent and just really doesn't like whatever race that character is, whether it's a dwarf or an elf or whatever. So just argues with them a lot and doesn't do so well. Or especially when you get into magic items that are things that have to be worn. Things like you find bracers of defense and try to put them on, and they're just way too small, and you can't get them on at all.
Funny that you mentioned that, because I remember the last time when I ran that whole Saltmarsh series, one of the things that, just to try something different, because we're kind of talking about the other end of the spectrum, where everybody's playing anything else but a human.
Right.
Yeah.
I said, okay, we're going to do a stunties campaign. We're going to do a shorties campaign. You can only play dwarves, gnomes, and halflings.
Yep.
And when it got to stuff like you're talking about armor, they hated me.
Yeah.
We mean it's only human sized. I'm sorry, hey.
If your magic items shrink and go to whatever size you need. Most people.
Rings and bracers do that.
Yeah,
yeah, the rings, they can't get the ring on, the ring falls off. I mean, you're the DM, you can do that. It doesn't have to shrink to the perfect size. Or let's say that there's something, let's say you're back at Saltmarsh and they find a helm, like a helm of underwater action.
Woo.
Perfect. You could really use that, except for the fact that every time you get in the water with it, it floats away because it's 4 times too big for your head.
What if you hold it on your head?
That's fine. You can go ahead and hold it on your head. Now, how are you going to
be able to do any combat or spells?
Nope.
But you can sure keep that helmet on.
Did they have duct tape? You can just use that.
If it's magical duct.
Okay, cool.
Tie their heads with that rope you got.
Yes. All right. And so let's look at okay, let's try this again. Let's look at it. Would this break the balance of the game if you gave a human something special? Do you think it would destroy your campaign, make it better? I don't think it really would break the balance, even though we got those people out there who say, buy the book, yeah, it's going to break the balance. I really don't think giving them something here and there is going to really make much of a difference.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't actually give them anything special for being humans. I'm not going to have a human game where they've all got infravision, for example, because I think there really is an advantage to playing a non-human character, and you ought to preserve that.
Yeah.
Right. I think what I did with just the additional attribute bonuses and the to-hit bonuses with certain weapons, I think that might work. We'll see how it does in actual play.
Yeah, that's well thought out.
I don't think that's any more unbalancing than like what elves and have as far as their to-hit bonuses, and other races have modifiers to their ability scores. So we'll see how it goes. I'll let you know.
All right. Well, we'll have to ask our folks out there what they think, and I'm sure people will tell us what they think by emailing us at rfistaff@gmail.com. And as we adjust ourselves, and we'll be heading into the Dragon's Hoard next.
The Dragon's Hoard.
Roar. What do we have for the Dragon's Hoard this week, guys?
Roar.
Hey, I got to think of a different way to enter the segment, all right?
Roar.
Nick, yeah, roar, big guy. Nick, what do we have this week?
We have the Ring of Animal Friendship.
So if you take your Unearthed Arcana and flip it open to page 92 to read along.
Yes, which I am quickly doing right now.
Well, it sounds like you were
ahead.
making the book.
But, yes, Ring of Animal Friendship. So everybody who...
So basically,
I'll read the description
Oh,
here, but
go ahead.
I'm sorry, you were going to say?
I was just
Well,
going to summarize it, but go ahead if you want to read it for our friends out there.
Yeah,
Well,
just,
don't read the whole thing. Just give us the
No.
summary, because it's
The summary is basically anybody who wears this ring, any animal of neutral alignment within 1 foot of the wearer.
one square.
That
1
was a
foot
square foot,
basically,
right? Yeah.
Or 1 inch.
No,
on a-
one
on a
square.
map.
One square.
Even though it says
Yeah.
inches there.
Well, no. It says inches because that's what AD&D does. Because you're
Yes.
operating under chainmail style rules, where an
You
inch
know.
would be
An inch would be a square, yeah.
10 would be a square, which would be 10 feet. So within 10 feet.
Right,
But,
that's
hey,
what I'm saying. Within 10 feet
You're
radius.
reading it by the
or
book,
1 inch
so-
square on a map. On the map.
Exactly.
So,
So what does it do?
they're able to basically charm an animal or several animals. They're allowed a saving throw, and it works at 6th level ability, and up to 12 hit dice of animals can be affected.
So
It
basically,
has-
what you've got is you're acting as a 6th level druid, because this is
In a way,
this is the basic druid spell, Animal Friendship.
yeah, it works. It works as the same as the spell as its 6th level ability. And you can control up to 12 hit dice of animals, and it says it will. Those feelings of friendship for the wearer will actually guard and protect that individual if he or she expends a charge for the ring to cause such behavior. So, and generally a ring has up to 27 charges, cannot be recharged. Here's the kicker on this one, though. A druid wearing this ring can charm up to double the amount of hit dice of animals. So
Dun,
24
dun, dun.
instead of 12. And a ranger can influence up to 18 hit dice of animals.
Sweet.
So, all you
So
people
what-
playing druids and rangers, here's your item.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so this one left me with some questions right off the bat.
Such as?
Because, well, all right, if this is essentially, giving you the powers of animal friendship as the druid spell does, then I wasn't really sure if they intended for this to have a permanent duration the way that a druid's animal friendship spell would.
See that's the question.
Oh, DM discretion probably on this.
Well, let's think this through, because if you are a druid, actually, I'm interested in this. It got me thinking more about this spell in general.
Okay.
Because if you're a druid and you cast Animal Friendship, you've now permanently made friends with this animal if it succeeds, if it doesn't make its saving throw. And the reason I started thinking about this, because when I went back and revisited the spell, I had forgotten about teaching tricks to the animal.
Right.
So, which is really cool. I mean, essentially what you're doing here is you're getting a number of animal companions to go along with you that can more or less do your bidding in really basic, simple ways. If you get a bunch of, bears that can all, I don't know what would be a good trick to do, but I haven't thought this through that much. But
Forge
if you
for
get a
food for you.
There you go.
That's a good one. I was thinking combat type of things, but sure, any of those things. So you get a group of these bears. Well, each time you cast this first level spell, you can get more bears, or does it just cap out at whatever the hit dice level is?
It caps out at the hit dice, and when you're talking about you're looking at a melee combat angle, you have to expend a charge from the ring for that to happen. Basically, you don't expend any charges from the ring if they're within that 10-foot cone. They have to make a save to for the ring to work as far as befriending you, they won't be hostile to you. In order for them to defend the wearer, you have to expend 1 charge.
Hold on, did I miss something when I was reading through it?
Yeah, I don't remember seeing that, actually.
Yeah, that's how it reads. That's what it sounds like.
All right, hold on. Now we actually do have to go to the reading, because 27 charges cannot be recharged. Influence I don't see anything about not expending a charge.
Okay. The
Those
ring
feeling
approaches.
Those feeling friendship for the wearer, you're absolutely right. They'll actually guard and protect that individual if he or she expends a charge from the ring to cause such behavior.
Right.
So
right.
That's good. That could be what's expending the charges is just the just during maybe that particular melee that they're going to do so. And you could say, look, the melee is over. If it happens again, you're going to expend another charge.
Right.
But it makes it kind of different from the spell then, because the spell, the way I read it, is essentially creating the closest thing that a druid's going to get to a familiar.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And in most respects, that's a lot better than a Find Familiar spell. So
That's true. Well, I mean, so I guess, this could be pretty useful if you are, swimming with the sharks, literally or or figuratively.
Funny you mention that, because I made a list.
Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm.
I made a list out of all 3 monster books. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty concise on this. I double-checked.
I thought I had prepared ahead by actually having the books with me, but you got a list, okay?
I have a list.
He topped you this week, Jason.
Tops me every week.
I just pegged the geekometer.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good. It goes out to about 2 pages here. And I'm just going to give you a few examples of how powerful this item is, and I guess looking at it also from the spell as well. I mean, here's some of the things that you can use with this thing. A giant boring beetle, normal and giant crocodiles,
useful
hippopotamus,
Okay.
common and giant hyenas, Irish deer.
As opposed to Scottish deer, or?
Oh, well, that's the prehistoric deer.
Oh.
It's called Irish deer.
Okay.
Now, this one I have a question mark by, because I'm not sure if this is like an animal or like a monster. A fire lizard.
Where's the fire lizard? Which book are we in?
It's listed under lizards in the monster manual.
So then
I kind of put a question mark by it, so I'm not so sure on that one.
All right, let me check this one, because this actually goes to what I was about to get to. So for under lizard, fire lizard, intelligence animal, therefore it counts.
Yeah.
The way I break it down is it all goes according to the intelligence of the creature.
I'm going by if it's not like a non. Well, then that busts it wide open, though.
Where you're going by the
because for
term
example,
animal?
I'm looking right here at the one that I thought would be kind of good to have animal friendship with, stun jelly.
Well, yeah. I was just looking at like relatively mundane animals, not like monsters or like enchanted creatures. But
the trouble is, it gets kind of difficult where you draw the line between a monster and an animal. So what I would do, I wouldn't even try to draw the line. I would just take it from the standpoint of, is it a creature of animal intelligence and neutral alignment?
Right.
And stun jelly counts.
Yeah. Even if you did limit it to just what you would call mundane, regular animals, some of these are pretty impressive. Giant hyenas, giant octopus, prehistoric rhinoceros, the woolly rhinoceros, saber-toothed tigers, huge spiders. I mean, you're talking pretty heavy. You can enchant yetis with this thing. So
beautiful. I love it.
Yeah,
well, I mean, I want to be able to do the other ones, because the stun jelly, for example, would be a really fun one. I don't know if you guys remember this one from the Fiend Folio, but it's it's related to the gelatinous cube, and it looks like a section of stone wall. But of course, as soon as it attacks, it can paralyze its victim and surround and digest him.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to set up a really good, let's say that you've got an NPC that your characters are going to come up against, right? And he wants to trap the players or trick them into something, he could have animal friendship with this stun jelly, and just be standing there leaning against the stun jelly as if he was leaning against the wall, or maybe even have something that looks like a good treasure right behind it, so that he's like, oh, I'm just standing here with looking at my treasure on the wall. Oh, did you want to fight me?
Yeah.
No, take my treasure. Go ahead. And they would,
Sick
and
'em.
the characters, the characters are like, well, I don't know, it just looked like a stone wall. I guess if he was leaning on it, what's so dangerous? Ah!
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if I would go that far with the thing. I think how I would run it, I would have to limit it to relatively mundane animals.
Yeah,
not necessarily. I guess you would say natural
animals.
occurring animals. I don't know if I would include something like that.
I would like to put this one to a poll.
Well,
Vince, I would like to suggest that we have a poll for the next week. That we come up with something around the use of animal friendship. And I don't know how we word it yet, but I think this one's totally open to interpretation. So I'd like I'd like to toss this one out to the listeners, just kind of get a feel.
All right, you and I will talk during the week, and we'll put up a poll for this.
Yeah, because I think Nick's got a perfectly good point, but I would have more fun with mine.
I don't know. I mean,
Jason
charm,
versus
if
Nick.
You're a druid, and if you're lucky enough to charm like 24 hit dice worth of giant spiders, I mean, or huge spiders, that's a pretty good deal,
Spider Queen will come after you then.
Or 24 hit dice worth of saber-toothed tigers,
True.
That a druid will be able to charm with this thing, with the animal friendship. I mean,
so if you guys,
that's pretty heavy duty,
right? You guys used this before in your campaign, because I have used this actual item when one of my players found a ring, he found a necklace, and he found a couple other magical items. He actually, without identifying any of it, put it all on. So this was my chance to have some fun. So he was traveling.
That's how you find out.
Yeah, that's how you find out, the hard way. So he was traveling along, and this wolf started following him. He couldn't figure it out, and then finally he started to try to, scare it away, but it never scared away. And every time he every time he chased it, it would just come right back. And at night he found it would kind of just curl up next to him. He'd wake up the next morning, there's a wolf next to him. He'd be scared.
Oh my God.
Yeah, scared out of his wits.
Poor guy thinks he has like a pork chop hanging around his neck or something.
And then finally he figured out that it was a ring of animal friendship. I was just trying to, keep it hidden from him as long as possible. That the little wolfie was snuggling up to him at night.
Kind of had a whole dances with wolves thing going on there.
Yeah.
That's great.
So you guys used it at all, or?
No, I've only used animal friendship as the spell. I've never really used the magic item.
I haven't used the magic item either, and
yeah,
I, as a player, haven't played a druid to where I had used animal friendship. So,
but the fact that we're introducing this, well, first of all, it's weird as heck to me that it has 27 charges.
Yeah,
that's really weird to me, because I'm used to the idea of looking and rolling a certain number of charges based on what type of item it is and going with that. And I don't know where the number 27 comes from.
That'd be something
first
to find
of all,
out, yeah.
I want to know why. But why 27?
Because it's Gary Gygax?
Why not? Right, so that means there must be a reason. Why not 25? Why not 30? Why not just let you roll like you would normally for a magic item for number of charges? But it brings me to a question I wanted to ask you guys, because while we were rolling up some characters today, it's preparing for a high-level adventure just for doing a one-shot through it. So I had one of my friends over here rolling up an 8th level illusionist, and we had to pick some magic items. And the whole thing about charges came up again, and I started thinking about it. And of course, in this case, I'm not telling him how many charges he has on it or anything, but I'm also remembering, I've got to keep track of these now. And I've always just, when the charges run out, it just stops working. But do you guys do anything different with charges for your magic items in terms of giving players hints or having things happen differently when it gets near the end?
Nick, go ahead.
I guess I try to keep it as simple as possible. If they're to successfully identify the item, they're also able to know how many charges the item has. And I leave it up to my players to track the charges and I know that's going with a lot of trust there, but
Yeah.
I trust my group. And
Well, you trust
I
them
know
to
they-
keep track of their gold and their hit points, so that's fair.
Yeah. So if they find out enough about the item, if they're like through an identify spell, or if they take it to a sage and they're able to identify the item, I'll throw out how many charges it is, and if it's in the description, if it can be recharged. So
I would.
that's how I play it.
I'm pretty much going to handle it like Nick would do it. If they don't identify it, I'm going to just say when they try to use it for the last time and there's no charges left, I would say you don't feel any energy going through it anymore.
Now, I don't
Especially when
remember
What's that, Chase?
when they're what?
What did you say?
Especially when they're what?
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, I could see where that could be a very bad moment for them when they're like going up against a horde of hobgoblins and they want to use that wand of magic missiles and it goes fizzle.
Fizzle.
So-
I mean, to me, that's kind of the fun part. But now you've got me thinking. I have to take a look and see: is Identify supposed to give you the number of charges? Have I been
Yes.
doing it wrong all these years?
No, I believe from memory that you can get the number of charges, but I've done it with they don't get it on the first try. They have to pay it again to identify. You get to identify one feature of it, identify what it is, identify again how many charges. That's how I do it.
Okay.
Nick, would you do it that
Yeah,
way or
I would pretty much do it the same way,
no?
unless
You know
unless
what?
I'm
You
feeling
guys are.
focused.
You guys are. It's the truth is somewhere in between us here, because I have to confess right now, I have not been telling people the number of charges when they identify, and well,
You don't have
like
to.
the part. I like the part where they're never quite sure if they should use this powerful magic item because does it have 40 charges or 1?
You don't have to,
No.
as a DM, tell them. You could just say you identify it as a ring of animal friendship, and then I'd leave it at that.
Yeah, you
Well,
could.
I went ahead and flipped to it here. So the specific rule for the spell is if it has charges, the object will never reveal the exact number, but it will give information which is plus or minus 25% of actual.
Okay.
So you'd say, well, it feels like it has 30, but it might
or
actually
it could be like 23.
Yeah, or 27. Yeah, and you know what? That's probably. Gosh, the actual rule seems like a good way to do it. But I
Yeah.
think
How surprising is that?
yeah, because that way you're never quite sure if you're about to run out. But if it feels like it has 50 charges, you know that you're safe for a little bit.
Yeah.
The genius of Gary Gygax's work.
How we miss him and his ways of doing things.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Yeah.
All right, so that's been cool.
Knowing is half the battle.
Yo, Joe.
G.I. Joe.
Yes.
Yo, Joe.
Let's move on. Tell us what you guys do. You know our email address. Just tell us your fun, how you use the ring, and actually let's talk about identification too. How do you identify things? You do Jason's method, my method, and Nick's
In
method.
other words, my wrong method.
Jason's wrong method, or do you just go strictly by the book? Let us know what you do. All right. Go ahead into the creature feature there next.
Theater.
So, creature feature theater time, guys.
Here we are.
Who's handling
I
it
got
this
my
time?
dice.
Yeah, I can hear the dice.
Hold on, I got to get another bag out.
Jason, you died
Wait a
because of
second.
that.
Wait a second. There's one more box of them over here somewhere. You guys, I'm not ready. I've only got 15 D20s on me. Hold on a second.
Are you trying to make a point here?
Yeah, really.
Are
I'm
you
just
trying to say there's not enough dice?
Not enough dice.
No,
That's
there's
right.
too much dice on your table, Jason.
Actually, what I was going to do this week was to roll the dice using my new copy of Dragonfire 2.
Ooh.
I just got before we go into it, I just got a crow for a minute. We're gonna use it soon, but this thing cost me more than some computers I've bought.
Wow.
But I managed to get a hold of a copy. We will give a call to whatever his name, I forgot, that actually made this. I'll make him a copy of this thing, but in a future episode we'll actually use Dragonfire to run an encounter or something. Anyways, real dice for today.
Yes. Anyway, I'll be running the creature feature theater this week. The characters were designed using the Dungeon Master's Sweetheart program, which you can find out more information about that program in the dragonsfoot.org first edition forums. I believe the gentleman working on this program in its beta stage is G.H. Fame, I believe his name is. Anyway, he was nice enough to throw us one of this beta copy so we can try it out, and it looks really sweet. It's in its infancy stage, but I have a feeling when this is completed, this is going to look a lot like what was that program? PC Gen. It's going to rival PC Gen and make it look like a fool.
Nice. Well, it put out some good characters here.
Yeah, and I'm actually kind of pumped. I can't wait to see the final product of this program. To help me a lot. You can create monsters with it, encounters, treasures, custom items. I mean, the guy he's been working on it for a long time, so I can't wait to see the final product.
You say, is it web-based? Is it you can run it through a browser? Or
it's a Java-based program.
Oh, okay.
So
Cool.
it's just like PC Gen, how it was Java-based.
Nice.
All right. So we have our characters this week, which were generated. Jason, why don't you tell us a little bit about your character briefly?
I am playing Tomas, who is a cleric. He is a dwarf, and I don't know how old he is, but he's third level. So, oh heck! Now all of a sudden I'm going to expose my ignorance because I can't remember how old dwarves get. So I don't know how old he would be. But we have our lawful neutral cleric Tomas the dwarf with his +1 club. I don't know who's been enchanting clubs around here, but he's got one.
Yes, he's a +1 club. Okay, and
I believe I have some armor as well.
Yes.
I have some enchanted ringmail, perhaps.
It's just standard ringmail.
Oh, okay. I thought you said to give myself a +1 armor in the emails.
Sure. Sounds good. And
okay, anyways.
Nick, what do you have on you? What are you playing?
Let's see. I will be playing Mathis, the fighter. He's a third level fighter. Pretty good stats. He's chaotic good. Let's see. He wears ringmail. He has a shield +1 and a longsword +1.
All right. Excellent.
Do you want me to work out my own armor class here? Is that the deal?
Yeah, for some reason the program didn't push out the armor class, and so I just said please.
Ringmail itself is 7, AC
Okay.
7.
Like I said, it's a beta
saves me.
program, so maybe I missed something and didn't see it, but
That's okay. It's not too hard to figure that out. So
no. So the two of you have left the local tavern after an old man has given you a map to the mountains and promise of treasure and gold.
what a nice old man.
Yes, after you've beaten it out of him. He gives you this
that
map.
would have been me.
Yeah, that would have been you, the fighter there, Mathis. And you're traveling along this old road, and you're on your horses, and it starts to pour rain. I mean, it's coming down as hard as can be. You guys could barely see in front of you. And Mathis, you're like, we might want to take cover. So you look over to your right, and you see actually what looks like a cemetery, but there is a very big crypt area there, which looks very enticing for you guys to go into and shelter from the rain. That's what you think.
Gosh, Mathis, it's raining so hard. Look at that friendly crypt. Perhaps if we were to take shelter in the crypt, we would be
Let
better
us
off
go there.
than
That looks
getting some water on us.
Well,
it's
Water is
promising.
terrible. If only there were a crypt nearby.
Let
us go there, my friend.
Come on, this is a forced segment. Shut up.
A bath.
It is pouring down so hard. The wind is so bad that this looks so enticing that you guys rush over to it, and you burst open the doors, and you all die. End of segment. No, I'm kidding.
Whoa, what was the monster?
I don't know. It was the death monster. No, you burst open the door, and you shut it closed barely as the wind is blowing, and you guys dust yourself off, leaving the horses outside to fend for themselves.
We had horses?
Yes, I said you were riding horses. Come on.
I'm a dwarf.
Well, you had a pony, okay?
You had a dwarven war pony, okay?
Yeah, you had a pony. Anyway, inside the crypt, it is very dusty, it is very dark, and as of right now, Jason, your character is the only one that could see somewhat. Nick,
Yes.
you being the human are pretty much blind in the dark.
I am blind in the dark. I cannot see.
Okay, but right now, just give me what my infravision is telling me.
In the range of your infravision, you do see another door across the room that is shut closed with a steel handle, like a steel, I should say brass handle coming off of which you could pull open. There is a couple of like coffin crypts coming out of the ground, like you would normally see inside of a crypt. And you can also see a couple pillars with some etchings on them, but you're not sure what they say. And they probably don't mean much, you think, but you do see that.
All right, how
I
big
draw
is this
my
room?
sword.
You draw your sword, great.
Sorry, how big is this room?
It's a 30 by 30 large crypt.
And the door is the opposite wall?
The opposite wall.
So is there some sort of if I'm using infravision, it's heat that it's detecting. So is there some sort of way that I can tell through the cracks in the door if it seems warmer or colder or anything on the other side of the door?
As you take a closer look at the door, because you've noticed it now, you look at it and you don't see anything out of the ordinary that would signify that there is something behind it of heat value.
Okay.
You do look around the room a little bit more as you hear sink. But you look around the room and you look to the noise and you see that your companion has pulled his sword out.
Oh.
Well, I was going to ask, do you play it to where magical swords do give off a faint glow?
No.
You don't?
No.
Oh, really?
No, I don't do that. Anyway, Jason, upon looking around the room, you do notice a spot where if you lit it, it would probably illuminate the whole entire room, as in, what do they call one of those illuminating pots, pretty much.
A brazier?
Yes, thank you. I couldn't think of the word.
Okay, so I can see a brazier somewhere in the room. Where is this?
It is on the wall right next to the door.
The door that the other door that we could go through.
You just walk through.
Okay, so probably running over and lighting strange braziers in crypts that we've dived into is not the smartest thing in the world. But do we even have any sources of flame?
I would assume that we would have torches.
You have standard adventure gear on you. If you look on your sheets, I put standard adventure gear.
Well, I'll pull a torch out for him since he can see actually lighting it. I'll let him light the torch, and we'll set it down on the top of a tomb.
Okay. Why don't we just take a look in the brazier? Does it look like it has some materials in it that would light if we were to light it?
It looks like it has a powder substance inside of it. So if you did drop something in there, it looks like it would burn for quite a while. Your estimation.
Okay. Well, in the interest of getting to the point, I'm going to light it on fire.
All right, boof. The room illuminates as the flame jumps from the one brazier to another one across the room by itself, lighting up the whole entire crypt. Now you can plainly see the door as it has a symbol of the letter C on it.
Letter C. C probably stands for
Cthulhu, we're dead!
As Nick's character screams and runs out the door into the rain.
That makes my sanity... Oh, dang, this is my sanity roll. Yeah. Oh, wrong game.
What do you guys do now?
So we've the two braziers have lit. Is that what you said?
Yes, the two lit. And you both can see very easily to the other door across the room, which is your only option at this point to go anywhere.
Is there anything written on that door, on the opposite door, at all?
The letter C.
So they both have the letter C on them?
Oh, I thought you were looking at the opposite door. I apologize. The door you came in has nothing written on it.
Oh, okay.
So the door across the room has a letter C on it now.
Got it. I understand. Okay.
That you could not see before, but since it's illuminated now, you can plainly see that it is carved into the door.
Oh, it's carved into the door. I see.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, so the door that's ahead of us, you said it looks heavy?
It's a solid door with a brass ring on it. It looks like you can pull it open.
To pull open?
Wood?
Yes, a solid wood oak door, we'll call it.
Okay.
Let's just open it. Let's just open
I'll
this
pull it
door and
open.
find out. I mean, if it's raining outside and we're in a crypt where braziers have magically alighted, the best thing to do is to start randomly opening doors.
Heck yeah.
Wise.
I'll do it.
Go for it. I will stand back a bit, I guess.
Do I need the roll and open doors on this?
No. That's fine.
Okay, so I'll grab wherever the ring or the handhold on that, and I'll just pull it open with my sword hand.
Okay. So you take your sword, you place it in your offhand, and you yank on the brass ring, and the door flies open and more easily than you thought it would.
Huh.
And looking into the room with some of the light illuminating into it, you see something shining back at you.
Huh. Can we take these braziers off and bring them with us?
If you'd like. You think you might be able to take them off the wall?
Okay.
Well, I mean, wait. Braziers on the wall? I thought you were talking about the kind of things that sit on the ground, like those big pots.
No, they're on the wall.
Oh, okay. Torches.
Well, they're not essentially torches, but yeah, okay.
So but I mean, I want to make sure I understand. Are they things we can pick up and carry?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. That's all I needed to be sure about.
You look like you can pull them off the wall.
Okay.
Okay. So let's do that, yeah.
Okay.
No, let's take one. You want to carry it?
At this point, I might as well. I mean, I don't have a shield, and I only have one weapon, so yeah,
Okay.
I'll carry the torch.
Okay.
So you enter the room slowly and cautiously. The reflection coming back at you is a gold reflection. Your eyes light up as you look around the room and see piles and piles of treasure and rubies and diamonds.
Cha-ching!
Yes. Upon inspecting the gold and your jaw coming back to alignment with the rest of you, as in hitting the floor and then coming back up, you notice across the room one large throne. And on this throne sits a hooded figure dressed in brown robes.
Oh no!
He is
Just
not
sitting there or moving.
He is not moving. He looks the robes look very decrepit and old, and probably look like it's been moth-eaten and it hasn't moved in years. There are spider webs and cobwebs coming from his body up into the ceiling, and it does not move. But it looks like at one time he might have just sat there and thought.
Okay, it's at this time that I am going. We don't have the spells written down from what you sent over, so I'm just going to let you know the spells that I brought with me were.
That's fine.
Or that I prayed for this morning were detect evil and protection from evil, and where's the? Well, we'll worry about the other one in a minute. But at this point, it's detect evil that I want to use. Hold person is the second level that I'll pick. So detect evil, and I will just take a round and sort of sweep around the room trying to detect evil.
You wave your arms in the air with your holy symbol, and you detect evil, and you find nothing of evil. So no source of evil in this room.
No emanations of evil from this room.
Yes,
okay.
no, nothing of evil in this room.
Not even from what appears to be the body on the throne.
Yes, the decrepit body on the throne does not illuminate when he casts his spells, indicating it is not evil or whatever.
When you said we inspected the gold, did we pick up any of it or anything like that?
No, when I meant inspected was your eyes were just kind of like looking all over, going, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god," like that.
Is there anything else on the floor other than treasure?
There's some ruby. There's some diamonds. You go further into the room, or are you just going to stay at the entranceway?
Well, if it's all treasure, then I'm just going to pick up one piece and heave it at the body.
Okay. So Jason's character picks up a piece of gold, heaves it at the body, upon which it bounces off, falling to the ground.
Okay.
All
right, I'll walk in.
Nick, upon you walking inside the room, Jason following, because nothing happens.
Yep.
You see the head of the creature slowly look up, and you see a skeletal figure looking back at you with dark eyes.
Turn.
And it says,
Turning undead.
Okay, and let's roll for you.
Okay. Can I roll for myself?
Nope, I'm rolling for you.
Okay. So I don't know what I'm turning.
Yep. You step right in front of Nick's character, you say, "Ha-ha," and you pull out your holy symbol and you say, "Turn," in the name of whatever my god is. And the creature just looks at you and says,
I didn't hear any rolling.
I rolled.
I don't know that language.
Yeah. You both think to yourselves, and you look on your character sheets, but you don't understand his language.
I don't understand gibberish.
So it's not speaking common, dwarfish, kobold, or orcish.
No.
Very good.
It stands. And now we roll initiative.
Okay. Jason, you go first. Roll initiative.
Okay, so here's for us. We've rolled a 6. Oh, yeah.
Ooh, it looks like the creature is going first. The creature waves its arms in the air. Both of you make a Save versus spells. Tell me if you fail.
Save versus spells. Oh,
Yes.
16 or better.
Well, 15.
All right. I rolled a 9.
Ooh, 8.
Ooh, all right. And you, Nick, you poof, disappear. And you pop up in another room with no door. And you're like, where the hell am I?
Oh,
You probably just figured out what it is now.
yep.
Jason,
yep,
you go,
Yep.
poof.
Yep. My suspicions are confirmed.
Yes. And you pop up in an equally, well, you don't know, the same room, and you are now no longer where you were, thus ending the segment. Do we know what creature it is?
Yes, I do.
Wow. Go for it. What was it?
Crypt thing?
Correct.
Ah,
Out of the Fiend Folio.
yes.
I knew you got it as soon as I said he tilts his head up and you see a skeletal face. I heard you go, oh, I know what it is.
I'm like, I had
Is
my
that-
suspicions when he did detect evil, and no evil was detected. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
it could be the crypt thing, but when you teleported us, I'm like, dow.
Yeah. Well, that's what it does upon its first attack. It has the ability to teleport a party away
Yes.
once you disturb it. I mean, if you would have just left it alone and just maybe taken the treasure and ran, it might not have bothered you. But since you threw something at it, you bothered it.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
So it's a neutral creature that has the ability to do that. So it's a fun little creature. It's I believe there's a quote on it. I get the book here. That
Yeah.
its main purpose is not to harm the party, but to just cause aggravation to the party, I believe it says. Let me
Well, that's
just-
aggravating.
yeah.
Yeah.
Their aim appears to solely that of obtaining pleasure by creating confusion and dissent among a party.
Yes.
So there you have
Basically, this is a way for the DM to split the party up, even if they didn't want to split up.
Yeah. Yeah, and so you can, if you pass your saving throw, you just stay in the room and the creature will attack you until you pretty much die, because it can only do once per encounter do the teleport.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's odd because I'm not sure what the purpose of a crypt thing has there ever been a ecology of the crypt thing done in the magazines?
I don't think so.
Not that
So,
I've
yeah.
ever recalled doing.
This would be a really interesting one to hear about because it doesn't actually protect the treasure. If you just come in, take all the treasure, and leave, it's just going to hang out.
No, the book plainly says if you disturb it, and you disturbed it, if you, like I said, would have grabbed the treasure and ran, I would think per the book says you haven't disturbed it. Oh well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not really a guardian of the treasure because if I just came in and took a bunch of treasure and headed out, you'd be like, whatever. You know, I'm a crypt thing. I don't attack.
Yeah.
Cool, man. You want some? There's some rubies. Don't forget the rubies.
Yeah, well, you guys are in another room, no clue where you are, and that is our feature theater. What we would like to do from now on is people give us some feedback on this segment and tell us if you want to continue with this segment, how we're doing it with the actual play, or go back to the original format. We just want to hear some feedback.
Yeah.
rfistaff@gmail.com. And we'll head into our final segment of the night, our Sage Advice.
Sage advice.
So for Sage Advice,
Sage advice.
Sage Advice. I want to start off by playing an email. How can I play an email? Play a voicemail that we got in. So let's listen to our commentaries by Sieg. He called our line. Ready, guys? Here we go.
Okay.
Hey guys, Zeke here from Dragonsfoot. Just wanted to call in, say it was a good show. My thoughts are that good and evil have to be remembered that they are cosmic powers, not just moral choices. Demi-human level limits, I don't use them, but I do penalize demi-humans on XP, like minus 10% or so. And finally, love Sons of Kios. If you need a bargain basement version of them, zombies infected with rot grubs work pretty well too. Anyway, hang in there. Bye.
All right, thanks, Sieg, for that voicemail. Anybody have any comments for him on that?
That's a really good point about the good and evil actually being these forces, because it's something that I have not kept in mind all the time. So it's worth remembering that. And it makes a lot more sense once we start thinking about things like alignment languages and all that type of stuff. It's not just a question of being good, but actually being on the forces of good.
Right. Okay,
So-
cool. Thanks, Sieg, and we want more people to call in. Just go to our site and click on the icon or give us a call. Nick, you want to pull up those reviews we were talking about? I know Jason doesn't like pimping for stars, but I like to give props to people that give us 5-star reviews and
We got a
encourage.
couple of really good reviews off of iTunes. And let's see, here's one from Alien STL.
Alien.
He said, nice 5-star review. He said, great podcast that I've stumbled over. I have not played in years. D&D is an awesome game. Lots of funny stories come to mind. Keep these podcasts going.
Well, thank you.
And another one from King Corn.
Spelled with
And
a C or a K?
K.
Corn fan,
King
maybe.
Corn with
King
a corn with a K?
Yep.
Okay. So the
Someone's a
band. He
corn
likes the band.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
the band.
just like the band. And he said, a Gygaxian classic.
Ooh.
No matter what edition you play, listening to RFI will make you a fan of old school D&D. The guys have great chemistry, highly entertaining and knowledgeable. They also do their homework. A family fan friendly podcast. Don't miss an issue.
Maybe he
Wow.
was. Maybe he was the guy that wrote in about the family stuff last time.
Might have been.
Oh, that's cool.
Could have.
Yeah,
That's
cool.
cool.
Thank you
Yeah,
for the
those are
reviews.
some great reviews we got on iTunes. So keep them coming, folks.
Yeah, pimp for stars, Jason. Right?
Yep. Give us some stars.
All right, Jason. Let's go to our first letter this week. What do you got?
Gee, I don't have it in front of me. I just remember he was asking about
All right,
in
I'll read it
general.
for you. Want me to read it?
moving... Yeah. Go ahead and read it. I know it's second and first edition stuff.
All right. Tom A. writes in and asks Jason, "Hey guys, I just started listening to your podcast and had a quick question. How backwards compatible are second edition campaign settings and rules with first edition core rule set? I was wondering because I obtained a large number of books and adventures for the Dark Sun setting and was hoping to run it in first edition as opposed to second edition. Good job, man.
Well-
As it's written form. Thanks in advance, Tom. Jason, go ahead."
So so this one, I mean, when I saw the question, it's kind of tough for me because I never have played second edition. I've flipped through the books and things like that, but I wasn't necessarily sure, what the answer was. So I did a little bit of. Did anybody fall down there? You okay?
No, I'm fine. Just
Falling
my-
over. Yep. So I did a little bit of digging around, looking through the Dragon's Foot forums, which is one of the best places because these guys, Dragon's Foot is both second and first edition forums, and I found a really good thread over on N-World that from has been going pretty recently, which was pretty informative to me in terms of what the difference really was between the two. The short answer, I think, to the question, can the second edition stuff be made backwards compatible, is yes.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be too difficult to go in. And actually, I'm a little bit interested now because from what everybody was saying on the board, there was a lot of different opinions back and forth, what's better, what's not. But the consensus seemed to be that when they got to second edition, there was an effort to put more emphasis into the role-playing side of things, roll with an E. And ironically, there was this feeling that there was too many mechanics in the first edition. And so there were some efforts made to maybe speed that up, and some things coming in that in some cases made it go quicker. Some cases people didn't dig so much. I mean, certainly THAC0 is something that I never was familiar with.
Yeah.
Or used. I know that THAC0 does make an appearance in one of the appendix tables in like the DMG or something, but really it's something you think of as being a second edition deal. But as you start looking at the different stuff that got introduced, the main thing seems to be that the consensus that I was reading is that maybe the rules weren't much of an improvement because, Unearthed Arcana took first edition down some kind of questionable paths.
Dark path.
I use some of it. I don't use others.
Yeah.
And that maybe second edition started, veering a little bit too much towards that, and they were trying to wrap up a lot of these loose threads into clear thing. But that didn't necessarily always work out that well. But the settings were really exciting. That there were a lot of great campaigns and adventures and new magic items and spells and things like that. So I think it would be pretty
Yeah,
not easy, but I think it would be pretty appropriate to take those things and to convert them into a first edition setting.
You know what's a really great setting that I've used in first edition that's maybe overlooked by a lot of people? Spelljammer.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people just brush that to the side because they think it's like stupid, but I don't know.
Well, I don't know what it is, actually. I don't know anything about Spelljammer other than the name.
D&D in space.
Yeah, pretty much you can go from like plane to plane or planet to planet. Like you can go from Forgotten Realms to Greyhawk, back and forth, Dragonlance.
That's cool.
And you're in this
very
ship.
Cool.
Yeah, you're in this ship in the middle of space, and it's a lot of people hated it because they thought it was a stupid idea, but there's so much possibility with that. It's true.
I like it.
It's true. People thought that, but second edition.
How much more stupid is it than like actual going plane hopping?
Yeah, really.
You know, with a spell. You know, I mean.
But second edition to first edition is very compatible. I know quite a few people back in the day that converted things back and forth and hand in hand, so it's not that hard to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if there's an actual, if anybody has written up just a conversion guide. I'm sure somebody has somewhere. And that might
I don't even think you
helpful
really
to
need
do.
much of one.
No, because second edition is so similar to first, except for that darn Thaco and some of the class name changes. I mean, it's easy enough.
Yeah, what about things like saving throws and that sort of stuff? Did they stay the same?
Pretty much. As far as some of the spells where names were changed, I think wasn't Nick? If I'm familiar, you're more familiar with second edition than I am. Wasn't some of the hit points changed as well?
I think so. I know some classes actually got eliminated until the Splat books came out for them, like the Assassin.
Yeah.
By the way, actually, just for a moment, Splat. This came up on another podcast I was listening to. I think it was Radio Free Hamlet. It might have been.
Yeah.
It might have been the other good one, Fear the Boot.
Yeah.
But I had to go look at it. It took me a while. So you want to just explain Splat for the people that don't know, like I didn't know until a week or two ago?
Well, yeah. A Splat book is generally a book that is either a guide or an addition to
A supplement.
to the core game. It's a supplement book.
Yeah.
Like the complete guide to fighters.
Yeah,
Right.
A splat book is a term used mostly by writers and freelancers and company. It's mostly a company used name, but fans have adopted it by just saying splats. So
yeah, I remember I looked up a whole, why it was called that, and there was a real specific reason, but I can't remember. It's something to do with splat being the equivalent of a wild card.
Yeah.
So it'd just be, playing the splat or whatever. But anyway, so a splat book is something that's, a book all about one particular character class, for example.
Yeah, either a class or some sort of supplement. Could be even like a
optional
small
rules,
campaign setting book, So.
Splats are heavily used in World of Darkness, the RPG. Mostly all their books are called splats, but different show, different time. Nick, let's head over to the email you're taking care of this week.
Oh yeah, I guess Cyril from the D20 radio forums, he commented on episode 21 on the level limits that we were talking about.
Yes.
And he says, I just got a chance to listen to episode 21 where you talked about demi-human level caps in your Stickler Spotlight. One more important thing to think about that you missed when talking about removing them is the ramifications on the social and political structures of the campaign world. Mm-hmm. That's some food for thought, actually.
Yeah.
If elves, dwarves, halflings, and other species are able to reach the same levels that humans are able to do, then what makes the humans the special race that is able to take over and rule the rest of the lands? Thanks for your time and keep up the good work on the cast. That makes a pretty interesting point, then.
Yeah, he does have a good argument there.
Yeah, I think so. That might be the reason why, when you're talking strictly first edition AD&D, as we were talking about earlier in this podcast, he designed it be a I guess, if this is the proper term, a humanocentric world.
Yeah, human-centric.
And
anthropocentric or whatever. Yeah.
So
anthropocentric, I don't know, but it's good because it makes me think also just about, I've been reading a lot more sci-fi than normally lately, and there's this constant theme of, whatever advanced race comes in, but they were particularly interested in the advancement of the human race. Oh, how are the humans doing? And that's just as humans, I guess we feel very special at the center of things, so it makes more sense in our fantasy and in our sci-fi and everything to want to put the humans at the center of it all. And if you're going to do that, like he said, if you're going to do that in the world, then you need to come up with some explanation for why the humans were able to stay on top when you had these other demi-human races with these amazing abilities.
Yeah, that's you mentioned science fiction, and there is a series of books like that by the late Jack L. Chalker. He wrote a series of books. It talked to like 3 different empires, and there's like thousands of different races, and you find out near the very end of the series is
spoiler alert.
Made humans
stop now if you're going to listen.
What made humans so special, and it's no real spoiler. It's we breed like rats, essentially. That's the number one thing in the book is humans breed a lot, and they produce a lot of offspring compared to the other races. So that was the big thing in that series of books. So that might be something you want to throw in your campaign world. Maybe it's just we're outbreeding them. You know?
All right, cool. Thanks, Cyril. Well, let's go to our final email tonight, and the joke that Jason had said at the top of the show is written in by Megatron Galvatron, topping our last listener email. And
stealing my name.
Yeah. He asked, can you tell me what goes into making a podcast? What equipment do you have, and how much time do you spend on it? All right, well, let's see. Can you tell me what goes into making a podcast? A lot of thought, a lot of time.
Liar.
Jason, shut up. And what equipment do you have? Basically, we use Skype to record the show. I have an audio board with, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 different channels on it. I can channel different things into it. I do have a compression mic on a stand, and I can record the guys on their own channels, and we mix it into, was it Audacity? Odyssey, however you want to pronounce it.
That's one I use too.
Yeah.
Audacity.
And then what happens is I write down the times for the segments, I send it over to Jason, and then Jason, you take over what your duties usually entail.
Yeah, so then on this end, I do the production by bringing everything into GarageBand. And if you're listening to the podcast in enhanced format right now, well, it sounds the same, but you would see that there's chapters. Each chapter has its own artwork, and there's some enhanced notes and things like that. So all that is done pretty easily in GarageBand. I just mark the chapters and write down the things that go in there. And it's probably not a bad time to give a little plug to our podcast host, who is Libsyn, Liberated Syndication.
Yes.
I've actually been using them since 2006. I know, Vince, this is not your first podcast.
I've been doing it since 2007, 8.
Yeah, I started doing podcasting in 2006 with a show called Permission Radio that you can still find at permissionradio.com, although the music on it's kind of out of date now. But there's, just so you know, there's some slightly different ways to do it. That show was recorded with all of us sitting in one room with a similar setup to what Vince is using now. I've got the board still sitting here. It's just one of those Radio Shack mixers you pick up and a nice compressor. And everybody kind of sitting around there, but again, Audacity was a good
it's a good tool,
recording tool for it. So Audacity,
yeah.
One other tool that's really good in podcasting, aside from Audacity and GarageBand, if you have a Mac, is a program called Audio Hijack Pro, which allows you to grab any sound that comes out of your computer and push it through.
Yeah. I use Mixcraft also. It's another program for PC that allows you to play different sounds and everything during the show, which we don't do, but other shows I have done that with. So,
yeah, and I just bring the comedy relief.
Yes, and Nick brings the comedy relief to the show. But actually, we do spend a lot of time figuring out what we want to do with the show. We have a large spreadsheet with various segments on it, and everybody puts some input on the segment, and then we transcribe it to the paper the docket each week for the show.
That you raised one more thing when you mentioned the mix. What's it called again?
Mixcraft.
Mixcraft.
Yes.
So right now, anybody who's listening to the show hears it with the bumpers in between.
Yes.
And sometimes when we do our segments like Blackstone or Thane, or maybe sometimes even the Creature Feature Theater, there's some kind of Foley and sound effects that go into it. So I do those afterwards in GarageBand, which I don't mind telling you takes a long time.
Well, yeah, Jason
looking for all those sounds. So you may in the future hear more sounds being done live with the Mixcraft board and that kind of stuff. We'll see about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, PC users can't do what Jason can do. Only Mac users can handle that.
Right, sure. Actually, if I had a PC, I would be using Cool Edit Pro, or not. No, it used to be called Cool Edit Pro. Now it's Adobe Audition, which I actually think is probably the best program out there for this kind of stuff. But it's a PC only.
Well, I meant chaptering. I don't know how to do it for a PC. I know Mac GarageBand does.
Oh yeah, I don't know how to do that on a PC either.
All right, well, thanks.
But, we've got both. So
I don't know how to do any of that junk.
Nick brings the comedy relief again. Well, thank you, Megatron Galvatron, who has now been dubbed Jason because Jason lost his name and is called Megatron Galvatron. Anyway, that'll end our emails, and we'll head to
Blackstone's Vault.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Blackstone's Vault. I am your host, Blackstone, and in this segment I'll be covering Module S2, White Plume Mountain, by Lawrence Schick, published by TSR Hobbies back in 1979. It's part of the S series of modules, and the recommended levels is levels 5 to 10. Now, a little bit about the adventure. The location of this, according to the World of Greyhawk Fantasy campaign setting, is in the Rift Canyon, and that's hex T3-70, T3-70. But if you're using another campaign setting, of course, any good DM will put that module wherever they see fit. Now, the basic plot is this. There are 3 magic weapons that have been stolen by some very prominent figures from the city of Greyhawk. And the 3 magic items are Wave, which is a trident, Whelm, a warhammer, and Black Razor, which is a sword. Now, the only clue that they have on who stole the 3 magical weapons comes in the form of a poem. And the poem I shall read to you, and it reads as such. Search ye far and search ye near, you'll find no trace of the 3, unless you follow instructions clear, for the weapons abide with me. North past forest, farm and furrow, you must go to the feathered mound. Then down away from the sun you'll burrow. Forget life, forget light, forget sound. To rescue Wave, you must do battle with the beast in the boiling bubble. Cross cavern vast, where chain links rattle, lies Whelm, past water spouts double. Black Razor yet remains to be won, underneath inverted ziggurat. That garnered, think not that you're done, for now you'll find you are caught. I care not, former owners brave, what heroes you seek to hire. Though mighty, I'll make each one my slave, or send him to the fire. And the poem is signed in the symbol of a very, very powerful magic user by the name of Chiroptis. Now the problem is, Chiroptis was supposedly dead for at least a few hundred years. So, not only is there the problem of the 3 magical weapons that were stolen, but there's the possibility that the evil wizard Chiroptis is still alive. Alright, some of the NPCs that one might encounter here. Well, at the beginning, You could have some of the previous owners as NPCs that the DM might allow the players to interact with, of course. Then you have the aforementioned Chiroptis, who was, I said, an evil wizard who was believed to be dead. Now, he doesn't necessarily appear in the module as written, but if the DM allows it, he could probably appear so. Maybe make some stats for Chiroptis himself. Now, some of the major encounters that you might have in this module. You have, at the very beginning, you have a spiral staircase in a cave which leads to a mangy, bedraggled a gynosphinx. Sorry, that was a little bit difficult for me to say. There's also an encounter that involves a large cave with a floor of boiling mud. And there's wooden platforms that are suspended from the ceiling, and the players must jump across the platforms that are really slippery and dodging geysers of hot mud. There's also an encounter with a vampire. There's a boiling lake with a giant crab. A frictionless room with spikes. And a very curious encounter area where there's a stream magically suspended in the middle of the air. So this module has an interesting combination of monsters and puzzles and various things. Now, some of the good things about this module that I enjoy. This is definitely a thinking man's dungeon, just like Tomb of Horrors, but not nearly as deadly. It's not an instant kill kind of dungeon. There's a very good balance between puzzles and monsters within this module, within this adventure. It's a great find the magic item quest also for your adventuring party. Also, the DM is encouraged by the writer of this module to add to the dungeon. There could be more levels. Maybe Chiroptis himself is lurking in the shadows far beneath White Plume Mountain. Also, that brings up the question, is Chiroptis actually dead? Could he be a lich? Could he be a vampire? Who's to say? But it's up to the DM to decide if Chiroptis makes his appearance. Now, some of the not-so-good things, or what some people might think of as not-so-good. The weapon Black Razor. To many, and I do see this as well, that it is a definite copycat ripoff of the sword Stormbringer from the Elric series. Some people might think that's kind of corny, but in my opinion, it works here. So overall, in my opinion, this is a module that has lots of multiple challenges, and I love that. It's really going to keep your players on their toes. They're going to have to make sure they have all the right equipment, magic items, and they're going to have to use their wits and their skills to get through this adventure. So ultimately, it's going to be a great amount of fun.
Ooh, one of those electronic voting dealies.
Quickly before we go, we had to pull up 2 polls over the holiday weekends here in the States. We had, what alignment do you enjoy playing the most? And it looks like we got a total of 52 votes, and the leader with 25 votes, Chaotic Good.
Woohoo!
Yes.
I'm not surprised.
Coming in second was Neutral Good with 10 votes. And
I wonder why Chaotic Good wins, though. I mean, I like it, but I wonder why.
I don't know. And then we had a fun poll for the 4th of July weekend, and we got 28 votes. Was Popeye's Chicken versus KFC. Which do you like better? And it looks like KFC just inched its way in with 15 votes over 13 votes.
Kentucky
It's
Fried
only-
Cockroach. We do cockroach right.
It's only because Pioneer Chicken didn't make the list. That would have just ruled the poll.
Actually, they're the best place I know of right here locally is a place called Mr. Chicken. So,
Mr. Chicken. All right.
Should always be suspicious of a giant anthropomorphic chicken trying to sell you chickens.
There was a place.
What's his motive?
Yeah. And Jason, there's a place in, I believe it's Schenectady, New York, where my wife used to live. It was called KFC, right? But it was called
Kennedy.
Yes, Kennedy Fried Chicken.
Hey, I'm from New York. We got Kennedy Fried Chicken all over the place.
Is that
Although I
by the
gotta
Kennedys there?
No, it's just Kennedy. Because if you could put a K, there's Kentucky, or it could be KFC, or it could be Kennedy Fried Chicken.
Yes, I couldn't believe that.
Kennedy Fried Chicken, we do it well, right there.
The chicken is put in the fryer, and anyway, that's not enough.
That's not what your chicken could do for you, but what your chicken could do for your country.
You said not.
One last thing on chicken places, though, just because I really loved this one. I used to live in England. When I first moved to London, they didn't quite grasp the concept of why it was called Kentucky Fried Chicken. They just figured it's a Southern American state, so anything will do. So the one that was near my home was called Dallas Fried Chicken.
Nice.
Nobody told them that that was not Chicken Town.
Oh, boy.
That's more barbecue.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that's going to end the show for this week. Next week, we'll be back with another show. And please leave us some feedback. Go to the site, rfipodcast.com.
Speaking of the site, there's a couple new things.
Oh, that's right. Articles. Go ahead, Nick.
Yep. Yeah, just a couple of things. I did an article called Making Dragons Dragons. And the Ecology of the Frost Giant. And I also
there's already some feedback going on around that Making Dragons Dragons.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of good
I
feedback.
also made up the Swamp Giant. It's under the Creature Feature theater. So the stats and everything for the Swamp Giant's out there too.
Yeah, just anyone go to the site, and you don't have to sign up. Comment on the article as far as giving it stars. Even if you think it's 1 star, fine, rate it. 10 stars, great. You don't have to be signed up to rate the stars. Any feedback to the authors is appreciated.
That's right.
Hold on. The Ecology of the Frost Giant, that was Todd Hughes, right?
Was it?
I think so.
Okay, so you just said the Ecology of the Frost Giant was up. I just
Swamp
wanted to make it clear. That's the latest +2 to save from Todd Hughes, so everybody go check it out. And you know.
I added a Greyhawk map for sale because Pathfinder, Paizo was selling one of the original maps from the old Dungeon magazine, so...
Sweet.
Oh, one last thing. Yeah, last announcement from me too. Sorry. This was on regarding Gen Con.
Oh, yes.
So the other week I mentioned that I had some hotel rooms that I was going to just hand out.
Yes.
If anybody wanted. We didn't get anybody asking for those, so I think it's fair game now. I wanted to give the RFI folks a chance first, but at this point I've actually put them on eBay, so they're not around anymore. I mean, I guess you could go bid for them on eBay or something, but I figured I might as well see if I could get some gas money out of it. So if you want them now, they've gone to eBay.
Oh, well. Contact Jason if you'd like to check out where it is on eBay. And this is going to be DM Vincent signing off for DM Nick and Megatron Galvatron. Have a great week, folks. Keep it original, keep it old school, and keep it funny.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Roll for initiative.